All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are cracking the code on a relationship pattern that leaves so many people feeling confused and lonely. Welcome to the Avoidant Heart, a user's guide.
You know this feeling, right? That moment you're sitting right there, physically next to someone, but emotionally, they feel a million miles away. The room is quiet, but it's not peaceful, is it? It's heavy. You can see them, but you can't feel them. They're just gone. And in that silence, your mind just starts to spiral. Why does this keep happening? Am I the crazy one? Is this all my fault? These questions are absolutely exhausting, and they usually lead us to think the problem is a lack of love. But what if the problem isn't about love at all?
Here's the thing that changes everything. This distance, it's not a personal failing. It's not proof you picked the wrong person or that they don't care about you. It's a program, a survival strategy that got written into the nervous system way back, long before you could even form conscious memories.
The official name for this program is attachment theory, and the core idea is pretty simple. Our need for closeness isn't just some nice-to-have feeling. Nope, it's a fundamental biological drive, just as real as hunger. And the way that need was met when we were tiny creates a blueprint for basically every relationship we have for the rest of our lives. Now, this idea started taking shape back in the 1940s with a psychiatrist named John Bowlby, but it was Mary Ainsworth's strange situation experiment in the 60s that really just blew the doors wide open. By watching toddlers for just 20 minutes, she found 4 totally distinct ways they sought safety, patterns that we now know predict our adult love styles with, honestly, startling accuracy.
And get this, these patterns are incredibly common. Look at the numbers here. Only about 55% of people have a secure attachment style. That means almost half of us, are trying to navigate love from a place of chronic anxiety or, you guessed it, defensive emotional distance. So if any of this is starting to sound familiar, trust me, you are in very good company. So these 4 blueprints end up shaping our core beliefs about love. If you're secure, you learned relationships are basically safe. If you're anxious, you learned you have to work to keep love, because care was unpredictable. And if you're avoidant, you learned that you have to rely only on yourself, because your caregiver just wasn't emotionally there. And for today, we're zeroing in on that last one.
So let's get back to that person on the couch, the one who feels so far away. It's time to solve the case by going inside the avoidant mind.
Okay, this is probably the single most important thing to understand. For most of us, if we want love, we move toward it. Simple. But for the avoidant nervous system, the exact moment intimacy gets real and deep, alarm bells can go off. It can literally register closeness as a potential threat. Not because they're heartless, but because their system learned very early on that depending on people just wasn't safe.
And this kind of internal wiring conflict, it shows up in some really predictable ways. Closeness starts to feel like suffocating pressure, so they pull back. They see needing other people as a weakness because for them, being super self-reliant feels like survival. They go quiet right when you want to talk the most, not because they don't care, but because their system is overwhelmed and literally deactivating. They retreat into logic because feelings feel chaotic and dangerous. And yeah, they send mixed signals because one part of them genuinely wants love and another deeper part is absolutely terrified of it.
This quote just nails it. This is the mental shift we all have to make. What we perceive as coldness is actually overwhelm. What looks like I don't care is actually a deep, instinctual form of self-protection. Once you can really see the pattern for what it is, you stop taking every single withdrawal so personally. And that is where real change can finally start.
Just look at the difference here. It's night and day, right? The dialogue on the left is a total dead end, but the one on the right? It changes everything. It names the internal experience. Instead of just shutting down, the person says, I feel myself shutting down. The distance gets talked about instead of just acted out. That simple, honest moment creates a little bit of safety where there used to be a giant brick wall.
But let's keep going, because here's the twist. This pattern, this emotional armor, it isn't just a flaw. It actually comes with a really unique set of hidden strengths.
Think about it. This avoidant style thrives in situations that reward autonomy. Their independence means they can make hard calls without needing everyone's approval. Their composure under pressure makes them incredibly effective in a crisis. They tend to have really good natural boundaries, and their ability to stay logical lets them find solutions when everyone else is freaking out. These are real, tangible advantages.
So what happens when someone with this style actually starts to heal? Well, here's the paradox. Progress doesn't always feel good at first. Not at all. Real healing often begins when that old armor, that emotional numbness that kept you safe for so long, starts to crack. And when it does, man, everything can feel a whole lot louder.
This is what that looks like in real life. You start actually feeling more. More guilt, more sadness, more longing. That's a huge sign the numbness is lifting. Closeness feels way more intense because you're not automatically shutting it down anymore. And you start to truly see and feel the impact your distance has on others. And it hurts. These uncomfortable feelings, they aren't a setback. They're proof you're coming back online.
Okay, so if change is possible, but it feels super uncomfortable, what's the resolution? How do you actually rewrite your love story?
The answer is this amazing concept called earned security. It's the idea that you can literally build new neural pathways for secure attachment as an adult. Your brain isn't fixed. Through new, safe, consistent relationships with a partner, a friend, a therapist, you can actually rewire that old blueprint. The original wound can heal. So how do you actually do it? It's all about small, intentional steps. First, just notice the pattern. See your impulse to pull away not as a character flaw, but as a learned, protective habit. Second, name the feeling. Just acknowledge the overwhelm inside your own head instead of just going cold. And third, choose presence. When your every instinct is screaming at you to run, just try to stay for 30 more seconds. That's it. Intimacy isn't built in grand gestures, it's built in these tiny, tiny moments of choosing to stay. And this brings us to maybe the most important point of all. Healing happens in relationship, not alone in your head. You cannot think your way out of a body-level survival program. Understanding all this theory is the map, for sure. But the new experiences with other people, that's the journey. Your nervous system has to physically feel something new, over and over again, to finally believe that closeness and safety can exist at the same time.
I love this quote from Carl Jung because it just captures it perfectly. Real change doesn't happen in a vacuum. When we risk connecting with someone for real, both people are transformed. The very relationships that trigger our deepest, oldest wounds are often the most powerful places for us to finally heal them.
So at the end of the day, your attachment style is not your destiny. It's not a life sentence. It is simply your starting point. You are not the child who wrote that first program. You are the adult who can finally read it, understand it, and slowly and perfectly begin to write a completely different story. So the only real question left is, what new story will you choose to write?